Okay, this is the critical lap. This is the critical lap. Confirm.
Leave me alone. I know what to do.
Welcome back to the Critical Lap. I'm Ruben, and that's Daniel. Daniel, how are you doing?
Just doing some stretches.
Just
Doing some stretches because I was so immobilized
just
by watching this race.
waking up.
I was so chill. I was just so low key
Zen.
the whole time, So I gotta
relax.
I gotta get the blood flowing again.
We
honestly,
we got one really good race coming out of summer break, and then we got this one to just remind us a little bit of what summer break was like.
Yeah, we got out of summer break and Formula One was like, "We're back," and then they were like,
Back,
"Don't
baby.
forget, we could be giving you this."
Sometimes we're
So
not as
count
back
your
as
lucky
we.
stars.
Yeah, sometimes we're more back than we were.
We're
Yeah, if you don't know, if you can't guess from the introduction to this and you didn't read the description of the episode, we're covering Monza, so the so-called Temple of Speed, the Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
It went
Totally.
by so fast. Puns intended.
Didn't it?
Yeah.
In it.
Well, hey, welcome back to the Critical Lap. If you're new to the Critical Lap, welcome. This is your one Critical Lap of all F1 news, reviews, races, race recaps, race previews, all the great, exciting news of silly season when we get it, which it hasn't been often, to be fair. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back. We're excited to talk through the Monza.
Hey, if you're a
Italian
returning
Grand Prix.
listener, thank you so much.
You guys are awesome.
You could totally just be like, these guys are lame. But no,
Yeah.
you keep coming back for what we hope to be like some decent
Scintillating
conversation and commentary. Yeah.
You maybe tuned in today thinking like, what are they going to say about this fascinating race?
Yeah.
Listen, we're not going to lie. It was a little bit of a slow race, a little bit of a technically
Maybe
a
you
fast
tuned in
race.
today for like a couple of spoiler alerts and just to see whether or not you should watch this race.
Yeah, you haven't yet watched it. You maybe you had other plans on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And you,
As one might.
didn't get a chance. So,
Mhm.
hey, if that's the case, we do have spoilers incoming because we're going to review the Monza Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. I don't know. We will kind of get back around to that one.
And B, just watch the highlight reel. Watch the whole race.
Listen,
Just watch the race in 30.
Take 2.5 minutes out of your day and watch all the highlights from the Italian Grand Prix. I think, by the way, 2 out of 2.5 minutes is just the first 2 laps, and then from that point on, there's not a whole lot else.
Yeah. Honestly, an electric start. Honestly, an electric like 4 laps right off the bat.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate. Right at lights out and away we go.
Lights out and away we go.
Good 4 laps. The rest of it just sort of.
Yeah. It just
anyway. Let's
happened.
get into it.
Let's jump into it. The Italian Grand Prix at Monza. This is the Temple of Speed. A highlight. This was the fastest Grand Prix ever. I think the average speed of the race was the fastest ever. And spoiler alert, Max Verstappen said that with first place finish. Max Verstappen takes the win that he thought was going to be impossible for the rest of the season. I think his comment was he didn't think they were going to win another race. Mm-hmm. He pulls out the win. Laurent Mekies, first win as a team principal. So that's exciting for him. Big
congrats,
day.
Congrats, Laurent. Or should I say congratulations, Laurent?
Congratulations, Laurent. And a shocking second and third place, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri in the McLaren.
Yeah. Let's not undersell the tea that is the McLaren team strategy, because that might just be like what the race is worth watching for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just
speaking of second and third.
Speaking of second, third. A distant. I think on some of those really, really long Monza straights, they probably could see sort of the mirage of Verstappen's car 20 seconds ahead there at the end.
20 seconds ahead. Yeah.
It was a strong win by Max Verstappen. Strong day. Daniel, I feel like sometimes when we get into the race recaps, oftentimes we skip right past the driver that just had an excellent day because nothing really happened. Nothing really got in their way. Max Verstappen had one of those days where it's very easy to overlook the fact that he just dominated from lights out and away we go.
Yeah, Max Verstappen had a very 2023 race where when you watch the race, there could be a lot happening sort of in the midfield, or you don't know who's going to be second and third on the podium. But Max is just in his own thing. He's doing his own thing. He's up, whatever, you know?
Yeah. And surprisingly, they weren't that far off in qualifying. I mean, Max, the Red Bull looked fast. I love how they'll say Max Verstappen and the Red Bull team with a big win here. And I'm like, it's Max Verstappen. Because there
Well, so
wasn't a lot of Yuki
yeah,
Tsunoda in this one.
agree. But Yuki did sort of perform better than his average, better than his like baseline for the previous rest of the season.
That's true.
So
That's true. He did
I
sneak
would say
into
there
Q3.
was a bit of like a of an improvement for the team in general. So
Yeah.
I was actually kind of curious about this with Laurent. LeBron, is it LeBron Mekis?
LeBron Mekis. Yes.
Is LeJohn Breckis?
Ye-
I can't. I'm never gonna get
I
it.
can barely say it as it is, Daniel. Don't throw me off
So
anymore.
Laurent
LeBron
Mekis
Mekis.
apparently, according to Dr. Marco, had implemented a few changes as team principal.
Dr.
Kind of
Helmet Mark?
sharpened the team. Yeah, that's the one.
Dr. Helmet Marko. Yeah.
Sharpened up the team a little bit during practice to
Mhm.
where they were a lot closer to the race setup that they wanted to be.
Okay.
And somehow that had a huge impact for Yuki. Big impact for Max as well. Although Max has been pretty racy the last couple of races. He's not fallen off. The trend line that he started of falling off hasn't really persisted or been
Sure.
maintained. He's been sort of here and there. So I mean, if this becomes a new trend and Max starts roaring back for the constructors title, which I don't think mathematically he can quite do it. I don't know,
Mm.
considering he's third, not second. But that would be
Uh,
interesting. Although this could also just be like one of the, will he, won't he perform well this weekend kind of things.
I mean, it's like we said a little bit last week in terms of like, thank you, McLaren, for keeping it close with two drivers. Thank you, Max Verstappen, for constantly threatening to win a race when it looks like it's going to be an obvious McLaren win. Max, you cannot count him out. We've almost lost track of which car he's in. It doesn't really matter at this point. Christian Horner's not there. His teammates nowhere to be. Excuse me. His teammates nowhere to be found. It doesn't make any difference. Max Verstappen's going to be third, second, fourth, somewhere right there at the top. And today, he was number one, doing just fine. Max had a great race. He did look great in qualifying, but he almost always looks great in qualifying. I was genuinely pretty blown away by how big of a gap he was able to put on the McLarens once the race started, because that's historically been McLaren's strength. And I think Lando said something to that effect in the post qualifying interview where he said, our strong suit is sort of race day. And that's what I expected was he's going to pull ahead here, and then he's just going to start putting a half a second on Verstappen every lap and just walking away. That never happened. In fact, Verstappen did that exactly to the McLaren. So surprising. I don't know if they found something in particular or if they just stripped that car down of all downforce, and Max just is so used to keeping that thing from losing control in the corners that worked fine for him. I don't know.
Well, Red Bull brought a new floor for Monza. Monza sort of marks one of the, hey, these engines are going to be running at high RPMs, long stretches. We gotta make sure we come correct with a good, tight engine. So a lot of teams bring new engines. I think that kind of explains part of what happened with Lando last week or whenever the most recent race was at Zandvoort, where he DNF'd, where he did not F. So I would say there was some
Don't say
upgrades that
it like
came.
that. Go
Uh,
ahead.
So
Yeah.
I think Max probably had a couple of things going for him, which was power unit, maybe or maybe not. I haven't confirmed that, but definitely got a new floor. And I don't know what the floor consists of. I don't know why a team is bringing a new aero
Right.
mod that's that significant this late into this season, this last season of these regs. But here we are.
Mm.
And the other thing is, I think you got like if you've got cars in front of you that are getting blue flagged because you're lapping them,
Right.
and you're in the temple of speed with all that's just straight space.
Right.
You're not really having to sit behind them in some turns to then like get around them in some of the straights. Like you're getting around them pretty consistently. So I wouldn't say Max necessarily had clean air. He just had a really good advantage for keeping other cars out of his way because he was first, because he was ahead of the pack.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's the case. He's not out of it. I mean, it does seem like he's out of it. He's a full 100 points behind Oscar Piastri, a little more, 104 points. So, no, that's not right. Sorry, 100. He's 94 points behind Oscar Piastri. So that's not out of it. That's 4 wins with Oscar Piastri not driving, but obviously that's
Yeah,
not
if
likely.
Oscar
But
Piastri doesn't F 4 times and
mhm,
Max comes in first 4 times, those were,
yeah,
some,
then you catch up. And if Lando Norris also gets out of the way, so that seems really
right,
unlikely.
right.
Um, I think we'll all start kind of, you know, all start raising eyebrows if Ferrari and Red Bull both come back super strong again next week and the week after, and McLaren looks like they're sort of flatlining, but that doesn't seem likely. I wonder if to some extent you've got Red Bull saying, why not? Like, why not try a new floor? Why not throw something new at this? We're not going anywhere. We are very solidly in 4th place in the Constructors' Championship, and we're slowly kind of dropping because we can't get our other driver in the mix. And, Max is probably going to do fine in whatever car we give him. He probably can pull out 3rd in the championship if we just give him a decent car. Why not give him one that with a better floor and see what happens? So I wonder if there's a little bit of throw caution to the winds here and, take a shot at it. But anyway, so it was a good race overall. Top 3 were, again, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and Oscar Piastri. A great day for Ferrari, who came in 4th, Charles Leclerc in 4th, and Lewis Hamilton in 6th, with George Russell in the Mercedes in 5th, splitting the two of them. So a good day for Ferrari. I think a nice bounce back day from last week in Zandvoort, which is an absolute terrible, no good, awful day for the Ferraris. I still felt to some extent like it was. I know they have high standards over there at Ferrari, but I don't have high standards for the Ferraris because I've never seen them in super high performing points. So to me, a 4th and 6th after a double DNF at your home race is pretty good. I don't know. Am I the only one that felt like that was a great day? And then it felt like Ferrari was pretty, I don't know, pretty calm
I
and
don't
collected
know.
about
Like,
it.
let's remember who won Monza last year, right?
Sure.
And let me double check before I speak
No, I
incorrectly.
think
I
you're
think it
right.
was Sainz. I think it was Sainz in a red car in a Ferrari, right? So,
I thought it was Leclerc, but now we're both going to be gonna have to double check our notes here.
uh,
Uh,
let's
it,
see. So,
I know they've won it. I know that hype is really high, and I have learned not to underestimate the hype of the Scuderia. Scuderia, that sounds right. But
no, you would be correct, Ruben. It was Charles Leclerc.
he did that one
Maybe I'm
stopper. He's
thinking
the
that
one who taught
he,
everyone how to do the one stopper.
yeah. No, I mean, Lando was on pole and Carlos Sainz qualified 5th behind Charles in 4th. That's weird. I don't know why I remember Carlos winning Monza last year.
I think you just remember another Ferrari driver winning because we're all feeling a little bad for science right now. I don't want to see him back in that
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
We'll get to science in a minute. Yeah, I get that the Ferrari hype is high. I get that those expectations are high. You win Monza, everybody wants to see you do it again. I just feel like after the season they've had right now, coming in a strong 4th and 6th is pretty decent. I know their qualifying pace and their practice pace got everybody really hyped up, but um, they're kind of where I expect them to be. In 7th place, Alexander Albon, and Gabriel Bortoleto in 8th. Another great result for Bortoleto in that Sauber. Unfortunate, we lost Hulkenberg right off the bat before the race even started. Kind of a bummer there. Would love to see how they both performed. Kimi
Did we
Antonelli in
ever,
9th.
sorry to
And
interrupt, did
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
ever figure out why they retired that car?
No, I didn't find out why. I'm not sure
Hmm.
if they told anybody. They pulled it
I
in the
didn't hear
garage
him
pretty
mention it.
quietly, and yeah,
Yeah.
maybe he tried to show up with an old engine.
The crazy thing is there were only 17 cars on the grid at lights out because 2 were starting from the pits and Nico DNF'd, or actually DNS'd. He did not start because he had a critical or catastrophic failure of his car on the formation lap.
Yeah, that's true. So 17 cars. Because speaking of starting from the pit lane, Isack Hadjar rounding out the top 10. He went from 19th pit lane start, I believe, all the way to
Mm-hmm.
10th place, which
Pulled his own little Ollie Behrman, if you will.
he pulled his little
Not
own
quite,
Ollie.
not quite as nice as Ollie's performance last week, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, but also we're gonna have to start. We're gonna have to again highlight the awkwardness of the fact that Isack Hadjar started in 19th and finished 10th in the points in the Barb car, in the Racing Bull car.
In the Born in Italy, Raised by Bulls. Did you catch that one? 20th
I did.
anniversary,
I did
25th
not catch
maybe?
that. No. Meanwhile, Yuki Tsunoda started in the points at 10th and slid to 13th in the opposite Red Bull car.
Okay. Okay. You're just
Come
undermining
on.
everything I've been trying to say about you.
I feel as bad as anybody for Yuki. Hadjar had better chill out or he's going to end up in a Red Bull. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
you're
right.
right. You're right. You better be
Little,
careful what he wishes for.
yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Little bit of a slow race. Let me ask you this, Daniel. I'll do a quick reaction right off the bat. So if you watch the race, the first lap or two was really all the exciting action. I think later on there was an awkward spin there with Sainz and Behrman, but aside from that, there was really very little action in this race. First two laps were exciting. Max Verstappen starts the race off and goes off track. Arguably, Lando Norris really pushed for that inside turn, but he got the move done, a move that I think Verstappen would have been proud of. Verstappen went off track, ended up giving the place back, but after almost a lap, right? Nearly completed a lap and gave the place back to Lando Norris, and then immediately went on the aggressive attack and passed him again. I, you know, I think that's classic Verstappen, just being aggressive and knowing that it puts his opponent in a disadvantage and he can get away with it without the points and then come back aggressive, which is a great move. It did feel a little bit frustrating in that it felt like Verstappen knows exactly what he's doing. He's going to go late, hold Lando back for an entire lap, like heat up Lando's tires a little too hot, let him have some challenge from his own teammate behind or from Leclerc. I'll give the spot back, but I'm going to give it back where I am right on his bumper, pass him again, and move on with the race. I mean, it was a brilliant strategy, but does it take anything away from Verstappen to just see that consistent behavior on the first couple laps, knowing that he can kind of take his licks and just pass again and get the lead again? Does that take anything away from an otherwise brilliant drive?
So what I would say comes into question here is like the sporting nature of it. Is it sporting for Max to make it easy for himself? Right. I would say that's him taking advantage of every competitive edge he can have. So if he can get away with doing it like that, which he obviously did, I think it's sporting to try to be as competitive as possible and to make it more difficult for your opponent. Granted, yeah, I don't know. I think if you're challenging the best car on the grid
Yeah.
and you're not really competing for the same spot in the constructors, I think it's fair game.
You
You
got to
know,
go
I
for it.
think
Okay.
yeah,
All
absolutely.
right.
Now, granted, he did sort of he went after Lando a couple times, right? Lando was fully alongside him, or at least up to the mirror, and he didn't really give him the room on the inside, right? So Lando was picking up the inside line, got
Right.
alongside him, and Max can claim he was just doing his racing line straight to the apex of turn one, but that did not give Lando enough room, and Lando ended up going into the grass. So what could have happened is if Max had given him the room, which you're probably not going to get penalized on the start of the race or lap one because it's more of a racing incident or whatever. It's more just chaos and who knows and how can you even react honestly.
Right.
But if Lando had had the actual space that he deserved for being alongside Max going into the inside of that turn and didn't have to go into the grass, I don't know. I don't know what it would have been like coming out, right? Like
Right.
maybe Norris has a different advantage. But then the second thing is Max just cuts the corner. He's like, I can't do it. Now, if you think about this chicane in particular, this one, it's not necessarily just like a turn to the right, turn to the left. Like it doubles back
Right.
before it continues straight into that straightaway.
Right.
So it is a very complicated chicane. Number one, number two. If you cut it, the advantage of cutting that chicane is a lot greater than cutting a
Right.
less aggressive chicane.
Right.
So I think that's strike two against Max. And then to your point, he kind of just took his time to give the position back and basically took the entire lap around before
Right.
that turn to then let him by with just the right amount of reduced speed to then be right on his tail. So to me, he did sort of leverage an advantage in a way that you could say wasn't quite. I would say if it's not sporting in this case, it's because it didn't quite follow the rules and he didn't quite get penalized or investigated or noted for all the different things that he did that could be considered marginal.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's really well said. I think it's fair. It was fair driving. Obviously, he sort of played within the rules.
Yeah.
He's very good at it. It worked to his advantage. I didn't see like an obvious foul. It did just feel again like this. I don't know how to say it. Just sort of like, yeah, nice job, Max. I get it. Like you get it. You get that you can kind of do what you want on the first lap because nobody's really going to call it out. To your point, you run Lando a little wide or into the grass. Lando slows down quite a bit more. He doesn't get a clean pass on you on the inside, which would have been probably pretty easy. It also would have left Max exposed on the outside, which would have left him wide open for Piastri. So what he really did was force Lando to go slow, skip the corner so that he wasn't under threat from Piastri, and then do exactly what you just said. Build up that gap, let him pass, and then pass him again. It to me, the challenge with that is that I guess you could argue, well, everybody else can do the same thing, so they can start doing the same thing. I don't want to see that. Like I don't want that type of driving to become common where a driver just says, "Well, I'll just run you wide. I'll skip it. I'll say, oh, okay,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
let you back again, but now I'm right behind you."
To
Uh,
me, the drag race from lights out to the first turn is sort of unfair if you don't each get the space to accelerate.
right,
Once you get to the turn, it's sort of the game of chicken of am I far ahead enough to get the stewards on my side for this decision if we have contact or whatever.
right,
But I don't do you. I'll interject with this little tidbit. Another thing we got from Monza, which I loved, was the return of Davide Valsecchi. Right,
right.
he's such a joy to watch. I love his enthusiasm. He did the post race interviews of the top three, and
Yeah,
the first question he asked Lando was, "Did you lift when you got into the grass?" And he's like, "Yeah, I had to, right? I had to just a little bit, right?
right,
If you just keep your foot in it, one wheel spins because it's in the grass, one
right,
wheel spins
right.
less because it's on asphalt. And does your differential fix that? I don't think
At
there's
some point, it can't compensate enough. Yeah,
like that. That's just a recipe for disaster. So you have to release some of the traction. You have to lift some of the pressure or force being
right.
applied to those surfaces. So yeah, I mean,
Lift and coast.
Max forced Lando into stopping his accelerating trajectory towards the first turn by forcing him again, like you said, within the rules that he
With
knows he
the
can get away
rules.
with
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
because he
all
took
within
the
the
straight
rules.
line. But again,
It makes him a brilliant racer.
yeah,
It makes him a
agreed.
brilliant
Yeah, it
racer.
really does. And you see the hat I'm wearing today, right? I'm celebrating Max's victory for mainly for the reason that what you said earlier was just that he didn't think that he could get another win this year.
Right. And
And
he
so
he
here he is
keeps
back.
fighting for it. And it would have been much less fun of a race if he hadn't done that. And by much less fun of a race, I mean nothing would have happened in this race. I also think given
Yeah.
their pace, I'm not entirely sure that any amount of McLaren's in front would have helped because he was on the hunt this time. And at a 20-second lead by the end, I think he would have slowly hunted down any McLaren's in front of him. And first lap, 20th lap, 40th lap, he was going to be making some passes.
Yeah, I do think though that if we reference the signs, was it signs Behrman that made contact
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
they both
Yep.
spun? Had one of them gotten beached, that was right after
Yeah.
Max's
Yeah.
pit stop. It would have made
Yeah.
for a really
Did
great
you
final.
hear them
Another
talking about that
15,
in
12 laps
the
in the
cooldown
cool
room?
down room.
Yeah.
Yeah, Max was like, "Oh no, please continue."
Please
and
continue. Yeah.
and it's crazy how Max has or how any of these drivers can keep their eyes on the screens, right? On the screens as
Yeah.
they pass them and they see these replays happening. Of
Yep.
course, he
They
probably got
can.
alerted to the yellow flag too.
Well, he seemed to know too when they came over the radio and said that Norris was being given back second place. He said because he got a slow pit stop, and I wondered, did we miss the radio message where they told him he got a slow pit stop? Did he just figure it out from the deltas, or did he see it on the screen, like see them
I bet he
holding
saw
them.
it. I bet he saw the deltas and was like, "Hey, what's going on with Lando?" Because I mean, who else is he going to worry about? He's
Right,
worrying about, and they were probably like,
right.
"Oh yeah, just slow pit stop," or they knew that he would be watching the deltas, and they were like, "By the way, Max, I don't know. We didn't hear that one
Oh,
reproduced, and
that's
I wasn't tracking it." But
okay.
I think
We're
Max's
gonna have to.
comment too was we needed to postmortem
We got
the
to get
McLaren
into
team decision.
that. Yeah.
But I think Max didn't have the context of the conversation before the pit stops, and if he had it, I think he would have thought differently about
Yeah, but we
the
did,
team
and I'm not
decision.
sure we think differently about it. So we do need to get into that. But
Yeah.
before we leave Davide Valsecchi, we need to go back to. Did you see that Max was just doing his absolute best not to start laughing? I think even Max just heard that, like, "Oh, Max, after such a great race,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
even Max was
Yeah.
just having the hardest time. But absolutely
I love
love
it. I mean,
Davide.
especially at a race in Italy. Come on. What else can
It's so good. What I love.
what more can you ask for?
Yeah, I've been working on my impression. Davide. He always does his part where he talks. He'll say like, "What do you think? Who's going to win?" He'll say, "I think it's going to be Leclerc. He's got the Ferrari. They're on the point." And he'll like kind of make his point. He's all like, animated and excited, and then he'll stop talking, and someone will answer him and be like, "Well, that's true. We'll have to see if they can keep up with the Red Bulls." And as soon as they do that, he'll get super serious and go, "Yes!" Like it close his eyes and be like, "Yes!" every single time. And he just goes from like really lit up to just you're totally right. That's such a good point.
We're gonna have to publish a Davide highlight reel
Yes.
at the end of the season. The
Yeah, that
legendary Chris
or
P can probably put something together for us.
who's that? Who's the comedian who like imitates all the drivers and some of the
Oh yeah,
I
some
can't
of the
I
team
can't
principals.
if
Yeah.
I can imitate anyone, it's Davide Valsecchi, and I can hear the listeners out there saying, "No, you can't."
Mhm.
All right, let's talk about the papaya rules. The papaya. We're going to talk about Team
The game of
Papaya.
papayas.
All right, if you missed the race,
The once upon a papaya.
let's give you a quick recap, shall we, in what went down. Sometime, I think it was about 8 laps from the end of the race, when it was clear that the McLarens were going to have to both pit and Verstappen was going to easily take the lead. So it was very obvious at this point, we're just pitting because we have to pit. There's no safety car
Because
coming for us.
we've been wishing for that safety guard and it's not gonna come.
We've driven our medium tires like 45 laps or something like that. It's
Mhm.
time to pit. They had to pit the drivers. Lando Norris had about a 4 second lead, 3.5 second lead on Oscar Piastri.
Mhm.
So in theory, you pit them both. It doesn't really matter what order. If you pit Lando first, he gets his tires first, and what do you call it? Is that an overcut technically? He gets faster tires and comes back out. Oscar Piastri then pits and gets his tires, and Lando Norris would easily keep his 3.5 second lead or more, because when Piastri came back out of the pits, Lando had already been by. However, if you pit Lando first and you let Oscar go around one more lap, there's a possible chance you get a safety car in that window. And if you do, you just gave Oscar Piastri a free tire change, and he ends up winning the race because you pit the leader first, or the second place person first. On the flip side, if you pit Oscar Piastri first, you technically give him a chance to undercut, right? So he gets better tires, comes back out. And is it possible, Daniel, that he eats a 3.5 second lead in his outlap? No, probably not. And that's what they asked Lando. So they told Lando, "Do you want to pit first?" I forget what they exactly asked him, but he basically said, "I want to pit second as long as there's no chance of an undercut. Like there's no chance that Oscar's going to undercut me." The answer was no. So they pit Piastri first, put him on his tires, sent him out. Norris came around. He pit second, and he got a 4.5, almost 5 second pit stop,
I
something
thought it
like
was
that.
like almost 6 seconds.
It was
I
a
thought it was
long
like
time.
5.9 stopped total.
I think you're right. I think I was just thinking in my head it was supposed to be a 2 second stop, and he just went +4 on
Plus
that,
4, yeah.
which was his lead. So he comes out
Yeah.
behind Piastri, 2 seconds behind Piastri.
Mhm.
Okay, Daniel, the most fascinating part for me from that point on was how Lando didn't say anything on the radio. Like nothing. He just like went totally quiet.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
they were bleeping him out or like cutting it out because it was just all asterisks on
Or
the.
they probably were under strict instructions not to have a Hungary 2024 again, where they're like, Lando, please, Lando, please,
Please,
please, Lando. Think of
listen.
the children, Lando.
Think of your
I feel like they
family.
were probably like, hey, Lando,
Hey.
Oscar, or sorry, Lando. We're talking right now. We're figuring this out. Don't worry, Papaya rules are still in place. The undercut. We
Right, right,
promised the
right. There's
undercut wouldn't
nothing to
happen.
say. Right.
Yeah, I think they probably just like didn't have, because there was no response from Lando. They were like, well, we can't just repeat this. Like it's just another embarrassment for McLaren, and we can't do that.
Oh, the silence was so awkward. I mean, you could almost
Yeah.
hear them panicking. Like, do we call him? What do you say? Like, hey, bud, sorry. There's nothing to say. And then you're like, well, he'll message any minute now and be like, guys, what was that? But he didn't say anything. So that silence just really rang loud. Then they called
Yeah.
up Oscar Piastri and told him that they were going to invert the cars because it was a Budapest situation. Hungary Budapest
Yeah, they
situation,
they referenced the previous year. They referenced Budapest the previous year.
which was not the same thing.
No.
Okay, so they invert the cars. Oscar Piastri moves out of the way and lets Lando Norris take the lead again. Lando still says nothing. I expected him to say thank you. I suspect he said nothing because he was frankly kind of embarrassed. And then the race ended in the most awkward way and nothing was really said.
Yeah, that cool down room was anything but cool, honestly.
So awkward.
It was so not chill.
Oh, it was
Okay,
painful.
so a lot to unpack, and back to like your original like strategy
Yeah.
layout.
Yeah.
100% logical and perfect, but it's missing one thing, which is that Leclerc was still pretty racy. Leclerc was right up behind Oscar. And in fact, he finished fourth behind Oscar at about a little over
Uh,
4 seconds behind him. So there
yeah.
was there was a risk. Like anything can
Sure.
happen, right? You were talking in like what happens. Lando pits,
You
and
you're
then a
talking about
safety car
like a
happens.
6-second pit stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Right.
But in reality, the team McLaren was saying, look, if we pit Lando first and Charles is on fresher tires as Oscar's tires could keep degrading, whatever can happen. Well, we pit Oscar. We essentially need to give Oscar the preference here because he's got a non-teammate behind him, right? He's
Right.
got the enemy behind him versus just, step brother or whatever you want to call this
Oh,
relationship.
so you think it was giving preference to Oscar to defend against Leclerc?
Yeah, yeah, of course, because
Okay.
Leclerc might like, had they gone a little bit longer, Leclerc might have been working his own undercut, right?
Okay.
He pitted before Oscar, and so he's on better tires, and he could have been kind of chewing lap time
Yeah.
out
Sure.
of
Okay.
Oscar's lead ahead of him. So they were like, let's get Oscar taken care of first. Why? Because, or sorry, let's get Oscar taken care of first, right?
Stop
And
stop you
then
stop the bleeding with Leclerc tracking him down. Yeah.
yeah, and then
Okay.
Lando's got Leclerc behind him by a slightly larger gap, but essentially that lets Oscar cover off Leclerc, and then Lando has the advantage of he's just having to cover off a teammate.
Sure.
He's got papaya rules in play, right?
Okay. Okay.
And they're like, "Hey Lando, would you be cool? Like you're in the lead. We should protect your lead of, with our, like, you have a chance to maybe
Sure.
attack Max, maybe
Yeah.
if there's a safety car or whatever. Whatever happens happens. We should give you preference because you're ahead. You qualified ahead. You are currently ahead,
Sure. But
so
we're
on and
gonna
so
like
forth.
run it by you before we make
Would
that
you
call.
mind? Exactly. Hey, buddy, could we get Oscar in first? Pretty
Okay.
please. And he
Okay.
and he was like, sure, sure. I'm a team player.
See,
No
I
doubt.
I didn't
But
take it that way. Go ahead. Go on. But
right,
but not if there's an undercut. Not if there's an undercut.
exactly. He's like, but don't do that thing that you could possibly do that I know that you could do, which is the one reason I would say no. I want the first stop.
Pit my
Oscar
teammate
be
to help
damned.
the team as long as you don't ruin my race.
Yeah.
So I think that makes okay. I think that's generous. I don't know that I agree with you that that's why they did it, but I think you're probably right. That's probably a better explanation, and it would certainly give a lot more. It would make their decision making a lot more reasonable because I am just assuming that they did the math on it and said, well, technically. there is a chance that one of our drivers wins this race. But it's got to be Lando. We can't pit them in an order where we accidentally split them on a safety car and give Oscar the safety car advantage for the win. We can't do that. So we have to pit Oscar first so that Lando gets, 3/4 of a lap more of safety car potentially to help give him a chance at first. That was my assumption.
No, and that's definitely one of the scenarios that get gamed out for sure. But that is like bird in hand is Leclerc's
Okay.
chasing Oscar.
I think
Two in the
yeah.
bush is like, could there be a safety car? You know?
Okay. I think your explanation, frankly, it makes their decision making seem a lot more. It's very flattering from their decision making standpoint because otherwise, asking them to. I mean, the announcers were flabbergasted. Everybody was like, "That this is not the same thing as as returning the favor, right? Or fixing a problem between the teammates. You have a slow pit stop. That happens sometimes, right? That would be the equivalent of being like Oscar, like back in Zandvoort, of calling Oscar and being like, Oscar, would you mind please pulling over? Your teammate had a oil
Yeah.
pressure failure.
Yeah, it's only fair for you also to not F since Lando
Oscar,
can't F.
Oscar, it's not your fault, but it's not Lando's fault either. And I know
Yeah.
you'll do the right thing. So
Yeah.
to me, that's how this felt off the bat. I think it seemed like that to the announcers too. Of that's not the same thing. You had a slow pit stop. Oscar might have a slow pit stop in the next race. What are you going to do? Call him up and say, Lando, it's not fair. Poor Oscar, he had a slow pit stop. Fair is fair.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay. All
we
right.
can get to like what the precedent might be that is getting set here. Because to your point, like it's not like they can't just wave their wand every single race and make things better.
Okay.
It's fortune, right? It's luck to some degree, or David Coulthard likes to call it racing gods.
The racing gods.
Um,
The racing gods. Yeah.
the
Okay. All
racing
right.
the
So
racing gods.
I think your version of it makes it better, but let's put it to a vote. So, regardless of why, was it the right call to have them switch positions? Let's go with yours. Let's assume that what you said is true. We pitted Oscar first, and Lando agreed to it to protect against Leclerc. So that was for the team. That was for the benefit of the team, and it helped Oscar. So, in that context, is it still the wrong call to have them switch spots?
I mean, are we putting this to a vote
Yeah, let's put to a vote right now. There's only
to our
two of us.
audience, or there's just
Audience,
two of
y'all
us we're
can.
voting?
Hey, audience, thumbs up the video or thumbs down the video if you think it was the right. No, don't do that. Don't do that. That's not fair. Thumbs down the video if you think McLaren made the right call. I don't know. Throw your comments in the comment section. Daniel, what do you think? Right call? Is that what you would have done?
Okay, here's my vote. McLaren
Mm.
made the right call. I'll explain, but you can go ahead and vote too.
Okay, I don't think they did. Okay, I don't think they did. I think they made the wrong call. I think that was the wrong call to make. I think it made them feel better, and I think they were ready to deal with frustrated Oscar before they were ready to deal with heartbroken Norris. But I think it was the wrong call.
All right, let's. This may not be the best analogy, but let's say you have a time machine and you are a soccer team,
Okay.
and you score an own goal.
Okay.
B teams out there, they get confused, they run down the wrong end of the field, they
Sure.
score on your own
Yeah.
goal. The goalie might be waving his hands, all this kind of stuff. If you have a time machine and you're like, but what if we just go back and don't do that, right?
Sure.
You're gonna use that time machine. You're gonna take advantage of I'm gonna undo this own goal situation. McLaren scored an own goal on themselves. They did a goal on their own
Yeah.
goalie by
Yeah.
setting up the situation of, hey, Lando, you've earned the spot that you're in.
Right.
You should pit first.
I see it.
Can you please help Oscar? Oscar's at risk.
Yeah.
You're at risk of Oscar passing you,
Okay.
possibly
Okay.
with an
Yeah.
undercut, but he's actually at risk of like another team getting the points. Ew.
Right. And
We're
you
trying to
can't,
secure the
okay, but again,
constructors.
so you're just saying, I can't face Norris in the locker room afterward and say, sorry about that. Thanks for being a team player. And and
Yeah.
then
I
we
mean,
screwed you.
so what I'm saying is McLaren had the power to do
Okay.
what they did. And guess
Okay.
what? Guess what? They forced it with less justification a year ago in Hungary, right?
Yes.
Or maybe tell me this. Do you think there
Because
was less justification in
no,
Hungary or
you're
more
right.
justification?
They're okay. Okay. I hear you. I honestly don't know. I don't know which is worse. Making the wrong call in the order to pit stop people or just doing a bad pit stop. I think Hungary was worse because that was a strategy call. So that's people who are not wearing a jumpsuit and a helmet, sitting in an air conditioned booth or under a nice shadow. And in this case, yes, it
Yeah,
was
that
the
wasn't you
guys pulling
scored.
a tire
That
off.
wasn't you scored a goal on yourself. That was you
Okay.
called the wrong
All
play and
right.
it didn't
All right.
work. This time it's like, no, that was our fault. Like
Okay.
we did that
I
to
hear you.
ourselves.
I agree. That is logical. I still think it's the wrong call. And because I tend to take a slippery slope mentality, and this slope has gotten awfully slippery. Where does it end? Like, at what point can you stop saying, oops, sorry, we did it the wrong way? Or like, whoops, sorry, we broke something, or we only have one part left. And Lando's car broke
Yeah, I
first.
mean,
So
in my
he
mind,
can
it comes
do
down
part.
to is it something that's in your control? And
Mm.
are you exercising that control? I've said it all along. Every win, every point, every position is deserved. Why? Because
Huh.
it's not just about the day of the race. It's about everything leading up to it and the position you're in and the
Okay.
capabilities you have on the day of the race. Yes, like the points are
Right.
only being scored on the race or in the sprint or whatever. But the team it takes that village. The team is so if the team has something in their control and they're not exercising the ability to do that, they're basically going one way or the other. It's not just positive to
Right.
neutral, it's positive to negative, right? For because they're going between their two drivers.
Yep. It's a zero
So in
sum.
my
Well, for their drivers.
so in my mind, it is more about like what are you doing to perform the way that you need to perform? And if you don't do something, anyway,
All right.
that's
I
we if we could
I
probably debate
here's
this a lot longer, and then this episode
I
would
think we
be
could. I think
intolerable for
everybody
most of the
well, I
audience.
think everybody will be. I think what we're all going to ask ourselves now is for years and up until last week, everybody was debating whether there were favorites, right? Nobody's ever guessed whether there's favorites at Red Bull. It's Max Verstappen. Nobody really guessed whether there were favorites at Mercedes once Rosberg stepped out. It was Hamilton. Like, we're not really going to give Bottas a chance to get a championship. So I think everybody assumed that's bad. That it's bad to assume that teams are playing favorites, or they're always going to give one driver, and you sort of make assumptions about that. I think now we know it's almost worse for the team to say, "See, everybody, we're trying to be as fair as we can." And there's part of me that says, like, don't do that. Just make the
Yeah, just let
calls.
it play out. Just let it play out however it plays out.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
people are going to be frustrated anyway. And now, my goodness, the Flames are going to be fanned of all the fans that claim that, they're favoring Oscar or they're favoring Lando over Oscar, and just creates an awkward situation. And honestly, now the problem is for McLaren. Okay, fine. You've been super, super fair and super, super above board about everything. But now every single race, there's going to be questions about the decisions you make, about the decisions you pit, how you pit them, and what order you put them, all yada, yada, yada. And I think that leads to more slippery slope situations. So
So quick reaction for you here.
hit me.
Who made the call? Who said
Zach
tell Oscar
Brown.
to give the
Zach
spot?
Brown for
Okay.
sure.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. And the reason that quick reaction question comes to mind is because I give Zach Brown the credit for bringing McLaren into the constructor title and driver championship contentions position that they're in versus what they were, let's just say 8 years ago,
Right.
right?
Right.
So, are they doing it well? Are they doing it poorly? Is it right? Is it wrong? Whatever these decision or this decision making sequence has been so far has been
Yeah.
working for them. And yes, I
Yeah.
think it is very unconventional to have this like we have two good drivers and we have these like unspoken or unpublicized papaya rules or whatever.
Right.
And again, it was weird it was weird. The Hungary situation last year was weird because you're just like, things like this have
That
happened
was your
before. The teams
call.
just
You
go
could
with
have,
it, and like,
right.
so they just kind of leave it up to chance. But McLaren is like, no, we have a plan.
Right.
We have our internal ethics or metrics or whatever they're making, whatever they're following this decision tree through. I'm not even saying anything now. However,
I,
they're arriving at this decision.
however they're making that, that's
That
their,
decision
yeah,
making process has been working. So
it has been. I'm okay. Here's your hot take then. Do I think that Zak Brown is deliberately making choices to keep his drivers as close as possible in the points? Yes. I'll quick reaction myself. I think Zak Brown sat down with himself in a boardroom or in his car at some point and thought, you know what? The win-win scenario for everyone except maybe a driver's like mental well-being is for my team to be dominant and my drivers to be neck and neck the entire time so that neither of them even considers a contract outside the team. Because this is obviously the team you want to be on. And it's obviously your best chance to win a championship. And you're going to think right down to the last minute that you still have a chance to win. That's a win-win. And I don't know how long he's going to keep Norris and Piastri, but if he can keep them for a few years, it would not surprise me at all if he was like, yeah, no, I manipulated everything I could to make sure my drivers were neck and neck. One of them was going to win at some point, but by keeping them close, I had something that almost no one else has had in Formula One, which is a tight race to the end. Fans love it. They all want McLaren gear, and both of my drivers think they have a chance right down to the last race.
yeah.
So why would they give up their contract? Because next year it's going to be the same chance. Zach, I don't know. It's not nefarious, man. It's good business planning. Daniel, this is random, but I just wanted to call out. You know how last 2023 you got really sick and tired of hearing the Dutch national anthem followed by the Austrian national anthem? And hey, listen, no offense to the Dutch and the Austrians. Your anthems are a little bit sort of traditional and slow. And so when you play them back to back, it just kind of feels like traditional slow anthems. The Dutch fans figured out how to fix that at Monza. Did you hear them like just shouting over the top of the Dutch Grand Prix that like, whoa, 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 Max Verstappen, like the whole time? It was, go back and watch it. There's just like a cloud of red smoke everywhere. And then you can barely hear the anthem. You can just hear, whoa, 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 Max Verstappen.
I love that. I love that they're taking ownership of their own boring. I mean, we've done it to some degree here in the States. You watch an NFL game or the Super Bowl and you see Chris Stapleton doing just a bone chilling version of our national anthem, and
Yeah.
grown men on the field just like bursting into tears by being so moved. I mean, yeah, spice it up. Come on, guys.
It's fantastic.
Give us something different.
Let's do it. Yeah. Or the, the home of the Chiefs if you're a Central American, not Central American, Middle America fan here.
Middle America.
All right. Well, big takeaways from the race. McLaren, super awkward, guys. Can you stop doing that? It makes us all uncomfortable. Ferrari,
Yeah, come on.
Solid day. Fast pit stops. They didn't even put the time up. I never actually looked to see whether they got the fastest
I saw
pit stop.
1.9 for Ferrari at one point. I was like,
They were quick. Listen, Ferrari was firing on all cylinders, and I won't have any more of this negativity for this team. They're a good team. Everybody needs to stop dumping on them. Sainz, getting a little desperate, buddy. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Little
But you
desperate
did
on
see
that
Behrman
pass.
got penalized, not Sainz. So the stewards decided that Sainz didn't really need to give him the space, that he had the line.
That's just the stewards playing the McLaren game of like, we were
Well, I
mean
think
to
the
them
stewards
last
were
week.
like,
We should be nice.
hey guys, we decided we're going to take it easy on Sainz going forward, right? Like we sort of wrecked him last week.
Right. And last week he was like, they wouldn't even talk to me. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, Sainz, you're good. You're good, man.
Yeah.
Yep. And also, last in the news, Pierre Gasly, congratulations, signs contract with Alpine through 2028.
2028. That's right.
Pierre Gasly.
I don't know what it means for what's his face?
Briatore. What's his name?
Flavio. Big
Flavio.
Flav. I don't know what it means for Flavio to like you or to be on his good side.
Yeah.
But I guess, good for Pierre. I don't know.
I do feel like that's how it went down. Like Pierre Gasly was sitting there on his phone with his feet up on the couch, and Flavio just walked in and was like, "We are keeping you for another 3 years." And he was like, "Oh, good. Good. Okay. Thanks. That was it.
Yeah.
Hey, congrats for Gasly. I like that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Last quick reaction for you. Be honest.
You got one.
Did
Let's hear
McLaren
it.
do all that to take the spotlight off Max? Did McLaren just they're like, this race is getting away from us. It's 20 seconds out. Everybody's looking at Max. Let's make it awkward. Yeah.
I mean, I can't say no to that because, I mean, McLaren probably learned many, many lessons during 2023 and the first half of 2024.
Yeah.
So they were probably like, we've
Give
been
him the
here
old
before.
razzle dazzle.
Flip back in the playbook. Yeah, okay. We can totally take control of this whole race.
Yeah, make it awkward, right? Because otherwise it's just going to be Max Verstappen with the fastest race ever in a win. Yeah. Hey, congrats to Max Verstappen. Great race. I hope you enjoyed the Monza Grand Prix. It is racing. And just remember, when you're in those slow races and you're thinking nothing much is happening, think back to August. Think back to when we had nothing but the hope that Valtteri or old Valerie Bottas would pick up a new seat in Cadillac.
Right.
All right. Well, on that note, thanks for joining us on the Critical Lap. We will see you next time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. That should be an exciting one. We got 2 weeks till that one. Thanks again for joining us. Please make sure you subscribe, that you like, add us to your favorites, add a comment, voting on whether you think McLaren did the right thing. Maybe not the thumbs down buttons. That would be great. Appreciate you.
Don't give us a thumb down.
We
guys.
don't need that.
You can hate our opinions, but just make fun of us in the comments.
Put a thumbs down in the comments if you feel that way.
Don't ruin the algorithm, you know what I'm saying?
That's right. And thanks as always to the legendary producer on the pit wall, the legendary Chris P. And we will see you next time on the Critical Lap.
Later.